G2 and Into the Breach are next, and both teams, of course, winning their game yesterday. 3 points from that, are still looking to get 6 points out of this entire week. And we'll start talking about G2 first, because 3 points yesterday against, prior to that, a flawless secret was huge for them.
Yeah, it was absolutely huge. I think it was obviously important for G2 to pick up victories. Results is what keeps this team's heart beating. Ultimately, I think the performance is across the whole stage so far have been nowhere near the standards that we expect from G2. A little bit shaky. Obviously, you can say, they're in the mix. They could still play top 2, all of that. But I think we both certainly know G2 standards. We know that they consider themselves higher than that standard, even if the results sometimes have gone right. And it's important for us to highlight that as much as they're winning, and they have been winning, some of the performances, they've not been in a lot of control in most games, to be honest.
Yeah, not only have they not been in control of, well, the game in itself, it feels to some extent that they haven't been in control of themselves either. The coordination that we're used to seeing from them, because this is one of the teams that invented the way we're currently playing. 5 guys spread out, and you come in attack from everywhere. They have looked very off in their timings. Yeah. They haven't been going at the same time, and sometimes there has been players missing or just the very much basics not being there. And in defense, it seems like they've been lacking all of the basic stuff for defense, which is crossfires, proper communication so that the mistakes don't happen. And it's not the G2 that we know and love, or the one we expect to see every day.
They can never win. We hold them to such high standard that unless they're literally obliterating everybody, we don't tend to say nice things. But it really has looked like that, right? They've picked up results because they've got players who are individually brilliant. The result against Fnatic, they bench huge kills. The game yesterday, it was Uno and Virtue turning up, but it was individuals turning up that got rounds.
But you two are mentioning, of course, G2, high standards, former world champions. They have these high standards for themselves as well, as you said. We'll talk about their opponents as well. Into the Breach. I mean, Fabian, what we saw from them yesterday was they got the 3 points against Virtus.pro, but it was a tough start.
It was a very tough start, but after that tough start, they really showed the qualities they have. Creed had a massive game. Like, generally, he took such a massive step up, and I'm super happy for them that they did.
Really exciting to see that, but of course we had an interview after that as well with Kenny, and Kenny was able to tell us a few things. Of course, he was very happy with the game, but there's also a few things that they want to improve on.
If you as a team just get absolutely battered or even just lose, even the games you win, you're looking at where you can still improve. Like, no team's perfect. Every team should strive to improve day on day, week on week, game on game.
Hello, so we've got a telestration coming up about Into the Breach, and Kangaroo Kenny there, he said that ITB still have a lot of improvement. Now, me and you, Fabian, I think we've identified where this improvement is going to be. I think it's that ITB generally either underreact to situations or completely overreact to situations. So, if we set the scene for you, ITB, they're going to have 2 power positions that they want to hold in their game yesterday. They've got one on border here on the position inside of Office behind the mirror window, and they've got Creeds all the way over here inside of Break Room. Now, the key thing that's going to happen for them, they're going to lose Oscar in this position. And the reason that they're going to lose Oscar in this position is a little bit of a strategical one. The hatch is open, and he's going to die from the back of it. Now, I think the big thing for us, Fabian, is about how they react on the back of that.
Or rather the lack of the reaction. Because if we look there, Oscar goes down, and Azure here in Fountain, he's just still playing on his mirror window. And if you pay attention to the floor in Fountain, that's going to explode right there. Hard to miss. This opening here allows Virtus.pro to make a play. However, how should Into the Breach have countered the play we're about to see? They should have rotated their players to different positions. If I get the red arrow, Azure should have moved somewhere into short here, because the only player that's still remaining is Creed. He's the only one they're playing off.
Yeah, this is the player that they need to know that he's out on his own and that they need to go and help him. But it's not just Azure, Fabian. If I put you back onto the red arrow, it's also Noah that's playing inside of that CC position. Now, important position is the CC position. However, there has been absolutely no attacker pressure over on that side. There is no reason for Noah to still be playing on the door, looking for runouts. He needs to get closer to the action.
Yeah, and it's them on themselves that opened this window. And if we keep playing the clip, well, you'll see Virtus.pro pushes long, they kill Creeds. Strategically, the round is going to be lost in about 1 second here. That's where they lost the round completely strategically. 3 on 5, yeah, you can win your gunfights, but how likely is that?
Yeah, that's the big problem. They're not reacting to each other. They're not trying to set up those crossfires and trades that we talk about, especially being so important, but also so important against a team like Virtus.pro. Once they're set up, they're always going to execute and set up. However, what happens actually is, Creeds has a great reaction from this. He says in the very next round, same position, I'm just going to start swinging people. I'm going to take this initiative into my own hands. I'm not going to be sold by my teammates. I'm actually going to find kills myself.
And this would work once, maybe twice in one stage that they make a play like this. And that's all you can really rely on it. Other than that, you need your team play to be better. And we think that both Into the Breach, they have a great coach and a great team. They will be able to adapt to this. But yeah, they need to sort it out, make you have some better reactions, maybe some set reactions, so they know how to react when things go down. But yeah, we've seen some stuff how they can improve.
Once they react appropriately, they'll improve. And they are a young team. That's what we need to keep emphasizing. They will learn. But this is the type of stuff that gets you through a game, but definitely not a season.
I will say I like that kind of aggression from these players coming out on a map like Border. However, of course, it has to depend on what kind of map we're playing in. For this one, that means we'll be heading to Clubhouse. Now, these two teams played that map against each other in January. It was a 7-1 stomp for G2, and ITB didn't win a single defensive round. However, there is a positive light for Into the Breach because G2 played it quite recently. Against Virtus.pro, they lost, so there have been some kind of mistakes that maybe ITB can expose.
Yeah, it looked pretty shaky for G2 last time they played it. And I don't know if that was just a one-time thing. It could very well have been. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think, G2 obviously played against Virtus.pro, as you say. It was decision-making with G2 that really cost them. I went through the game files and looked at everything, and they get a little bit overzealous. They step out of line a little bit. For example, Doku was impact tricking the mirror window and then stepped out in front of the mirror window to peek the guy rather than from behind it. Really simple stuff like that G2 kind of cost themselves on that Clubhouse. They will have come away and been upset that they lost that Clubhouse. I think for Into the Breach, they probably needed a new map now. They've played Border a couple of times, they've played Consulate a couple of times. I think Clubhouse is a map where they can find success against G2, and I think it's also a map where it forces G2 to try and play as a team, and what's been their biggest issue so far this season has been playing as a team. Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense from that point of view.
And also if the pressure is high, because now you're going up against a very, very important team to grab points off, especially in the position they're in the league right now. The pressure that gets to you on Clubhouse, it's one of those maps where it's really hard to really feel the pressure, because the steps on this map is, you do step number 1, and then you do step number 2, and you're very dedicated to the position and the role that you're playing. You can only really do individual mistakes in this map. It's very hard to do strategical ones, because you already have a kitchen execute for basement.
Yes.
You have a church execute, you have a blue execute, you have, for CCTV, you have a master take, you have a garage take, and for gym, you have a direct take and you have a CCTV take. There is not that much depth to this map strategically, so it's a great one if you maybe are feeling a bit pressured, because there's not that much to know.
It's a very default map, as we like to call it as well. Things don't change all too much on this map, but we just highlighted a few things that were going wrong for Into the Breach yesterday. I think we should talk about some of the positives as well. In that same map, something that really stood out to me was the entries that they were getting, specifically with Azure on that buck.
Yeah, Azure had a great game on Buck. Like, he was finding openings left, right, and center. So from that passive defenses that they had where he got stuck in Fountain, basically they were like corner dogging their defenses. All of a sudden, it's like someone lost the leash of their dog and they just, boom, they ran for it and they sprinted over their opponents. And that's the stuff we need to see more from, because that's something that can put G2 on the back foot as well.
It was like Creed's, when we showed that clip, Creed just said, screw this, and then everyone else in the team thought, yeah, I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
And I think Azure particularly, a quick fact about Azure, he's the player in the league that's played the least amount of unique operators this stage. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because what Azure provides, I think, to this team is a level of consistency, and he is very, very useful on that book as well. He's not necessarily the Swiss Army knife that you're talking about users where you'll put him on anything and he'll shine, but on that book, on those entries yesterday, but also as we've seen him grow across probably the last, 12 months maybe, when he's joined when he joined Into the Breach and came into Tier 1, he's kind of grown into this solid, consistent, dependable player.
And that's like the first step really on your professional career. You will have some of the players that go like completely from nothingness to stardom immediately, but a lot of these players that last very long, they are just consistent, because you can always build around consistency. Having these players that pop off every now and then, that's great. I mean, G2 has players, all 5 of them, that can pop off every now and then. Then you also have consistency within that, which is something incredible. Into the Breach might not have the same sort of fragging power or stardom, but we're seeing a team shape up, and we're seeing a team that actually everything makes sense, every player makes sense, every staff member makes sense. It's just overall, it's a project that's going to be very interesting to follow long term.
Yeah.
I feel like if I would just stand here and not say anything, you two could talk about these two teams until the cows come home. But I'm going to press the start button of the game, but we'll bring our casters back in as well. We'll bring back Ollie and Demo. How excited are we feeling for this game?
I can't wait to get stuck in. I think, you know, Demo's the same. Always a little bit biased for a G2 fixture. And always nice to see Into the Breach as well. They're one of my favorite teams as well. So, you know, I mean, I know we shouldn't have favorites, but we secretly do.
You know, Demo, I'm going to interrupt you. You're not going to be able to talk now. Because we have brought home the cows. It's Demo and Ollie. They're my cows.
They're moo.
They're moo. Can we get a moo Demo?
I'm very confused.
Oh, okay.
Why are we your cows?
Yeah,
I don't get it.
I have no idea. You feel like cowish people.
I don't even drink milk. Like, I don't, like, we shouldn't know. I don't know.
No.
Ollie's having none of it.
Honestly,
You're a weird one.
I'm not having any of it.
Weird.
Demo, can we
as
just
well.
have a moo, please?
No.
The game can't start until you move Demo. Go on.
We'll find an explanation as to why this happened and why all of a sudden we're having cows on the desk or on the casting booth. But I'll let you two have a go at it, of course, with G2 and Into the Breach. Have fun and good luck.
Well, moving on from that average. There it is. Demo's closed his eyes. Moving on, we are going to be jumping into game number 3 of the night. Demo, don't worry. There is only one more after this. We are over the halfway point now. We are on the home straight. We've got G2 and we have got Into the Breach. We're going to be headed into game very shortly indeed. Demo, I know that you always love a G2 fixture.
Where did you get that impression from?
Oh, I mean, I don't know, the countless, however many years I've known you and the fact that you've always been a very big fan.
Look, Fresh and Fabian are always going to be critical of G2 because of their connection with G2, right? Me, I didn't work for them. I was not involved in that. I've just been following G2 since the start. This season hasn't been that bad. You know, I think sometimes Fresh and Fabian make it up as though if they're not winning every game 20-0, they're terrible. It's not been too bad. Look, yes, it's not been G2 at its best, but I think it's G2 at the moment enough to get them into a good position in the league.
Well, let's see. Into the Breach, of course, a team that is still, you know, I would still call this an up-and-coming team, Demo. I think that's fair to say.
It is.
We've still got some players on here that are, you know, seeing their first season inside of EUL, for instance. And then you've got some real old hands like Kendrew as well. So it's always fantastic to see. They of course didn't play yesterday, which was probably a good thing. Sorry, they didn't play one of the days last week. They did play yesterday. They played VP yesterday, but they didn't play one of the days last week. Probably a good thing because I think they really struggled in that BDS fixture. But they've had a little bit of time to recoup. They came out strong yesterday against VP with a 7-5 win over on Border, and now we head into Clubhouse here and now.
Certainly, I think for ITB, you know, their lowest point was BDS. I think everyone's seen that. It was clear to see. And yeah, you know, the reset helped them. They took a day off. They can work on themselves. And yeah, they've came back obviously very well yesterday, beating VP, which I thought was a great win for that side. But now they're up against G2. You know, it's not, again, you're going from a difficult matchup in VP in their own right. Can be a difficult team to play. I know that maybe not at the moment. VP aren't showing that, but still, you have to give them the respect. And then you're going into G2 again, another tough matchup, but by all accords. And yes, G2, they took down Secret yesterday. It wasn't too bad. I think it was an okay day for them. Certainly I've seen them better, but it wasn't, you know, horrendous. But one thing that I think the guys in the desk kind of highlighted was individuals was really helping you kind of dragging their teams out of holes. You look at obviously Creeds. You know, yesterday was just, what could you say? The guy couldn't put a foot wrong.
And sometimes it takes a performance like that to get a result over the line. And it's whether you can have that on back-to-back days or whether you're looking towards someone else in the team to really sort of step up and shine. You could say very similar from G2 yesterday. It was pretty much the Uno and Virtue show. Yeah. I think Doki even tweeted about it, saying, you know, it was the old timers that were keeping everybody in it. And to some degree, it was correct. You know, it wasn't the performance that you would expect out of some of the G2 players, and then not the performance you would expect out of other ones. And one of them was a good performance, one of them was a bad one. It really didn't seem to matter too much. Clubhouse is always a good leveler. Obviously, we have just seen a Clubhouse, so if you have gone for a little break and you are joining us back and you're wondering why we're at 0-0, we are at a new game, G2 versus Into the Breach.
Groundhog Day.
Number 3. It's
You're
not
watching
Groundhog Day.
BPMs again. You're watching it again.
No, I mean, I'd watch it again, to be fair. It was a decent game. Has he been misdroned?
Oh, that's a yes.
For the most part, he has. There has been a flank drone left up there, but as we all know with flank drones, they're only good if someone's not alive. Speaking of that, Virtue, he has been sent to the cameras, so there is a good chance that he is watching said flank drone.
Yeah, bit of a half and half right now for ITB. Bit of a roam game, bit upstairs, mid floor as well. And what on earth was that from Doki? He just ran straight down long, and he's been picked off. And G2 have just decided to explode into the bomb site. Uno does have the diffuser, and he can try and go for the plant, but where's the response from ITB? We know that Azure was upstairs. Where's he coming from? That black eye certainly would have been able to feed in some information over towards them. Bench and drop shots, but the wrong moment. Oscar rips through with the shotgun. And now Uno, you mentioned how well he played yesterday. He's in a 1 versus 3. He has eyes on the diffuser. He will have to try and push him. Can't really stick a defuse whenever he's in this position. A prone comes in, and Hazard, what are you doing? He gets picked off. Flashbang goes out. Nobody's sticking the diffuser. A quick shuffle from Uno, repositions himself. Time is slowly ticking down. ITB, they need to figure out what they want to go for. Another flashbang through the door for Uno. Will that flash out? Oscar, no, will not. And Oscar, the perfect cover. Uno falls. Oh, nice attempt by Uno, but Oscar did his job.
I don't know if you saw in that moment there when Uno was left as last alive as soon as Benja died, he kind of sat up in his chair and proper locked himself in. And I was just watching his player cam and I was thinking, he's locked. Like, this is it. It's done for. Like, he's going to do it. And honestly, I think if he has a different gun, he maybe gets away with it. But we all know what Hibana's primary is like. Type 89 hasn't got a great mag count. It's only got 21 bullets. And he's worried all the time about ITB using their numbers advantage against him. He's 1 and they are 3. So although he had the diffuser down, he had a decent post plant, he had flashes to work with, there was always that worry of a very quick push. And fair play to ITB, you know, they didn't go for that. They went for the slow and steady and, you know, we're going to cover this and force you to peak. So very well disciplined, a close round nonetheless, and kind of surprising. CG2 just say, well, you know what, we're going to commit to the site, but they had obviously had information and had a feeling that there was a gap there. And guess what? They filled it and got the plant down.
Yeah, look, there's 2 ways to go about that. All 3 players just rushed, but then you could almost get kind of train jammed into each other, and it's just a kill house for Uno, just holding down mouse 1 and they all line up. Or you play it the passive way, and you almost bait each other. Oscar essentially is fishing right there, is he not? He's essentially fishing. And he's saying to Creed, just stick the diffuser. If you die, you die. I'll kill him and then just defuse anyway. That was the game plan. Yeah. Luckily for Grease, he didn't die. Sorry, Noah, should I say? Apologies. And luckily, Noah's alive, and Oscar still gets his kill.
No, it was very well done indeed. And it all comes down to those micro plays, you know, that just goes to show the level of teamwork and the level of understanding, you know, and trust that you've got within the squad. And it's important to have stuff like that because you do need it in some games. We're going to be seeing G2 attacking into gym and bedroom now. And they're going to be trying to deal with some of this util inside of construction. There's keeper barricades and Cade electroclaws on the wall, which have needed to be removed. Uno is still waiting for the electroclaw here to be dealt with. Thatcher, as if on cue. EMP incoming, and that wall will now be open.
G2 making quick work off the walls, and speaking of quick work, there's 2 ex-teammates going up against each other. Kendrew and Doki, of course, being part of that original Navi roster that we've seen inside of the league all those years ago. But Kenny gets the better of him this time. Doki not off to a good start, and you do worry, you know, I think me and you have talked about, you know, in depth, that the game of Doki has changed, where that consistency factor. Oh, Azure, aggression taken to G2, but anyway, back to Doki. You know, we were talking about the way that Doki, he was either there or he wasn't, you know, very hot or cold, and we said that over the past year he's really improved in that, where he can still, you know, maybe start slow but still work his way into the game. If G2 you know, you can't just keep hoping that Dogi's, you know, going to start off bad then go slow. He needs to, you know, start things off right from the get-go, because there's been a few times already this stage where I've seen him start very, very slow, and it has cost the, you know, his team in the early rounds. And that's probably what makes G2 look, you know, as worse the way Fabian and Fresh are talking about. I mean, Benja's very much the same, right? Pretty hot and cold, but it's fitting that those are the two that are in the cameras at the moment and not live in the server. Alamau has gathered a wealth of information here, and he's going to go for the slam down onto Noah. Easy as you like. Didn't even need the pinch that was coming through from Virtue at the same time. You know, he's going to be hanging out outside of the breach, but the Monty, such a commanding force here. Alamau can quite literally just bully his way into sight here and give information for his team to work with. But we don't know about Azza. Azza almost got a chance. Is he going to get the opportunity? Yes, he is. Picks up one. The clock's running super low now. Creeds, he finds one onto Uno, and it's all up to Virtue. All you've got to do is stay alive, Azza. Don't peek, my friend, and you'll be rewarded. ITB, it was close, but they got the job done in round number 2. Yeah, all done to Azzer. Great little position. An off pause that no one's expecting. You know, Alma just walked straight in, has no idea. Drone work obviously not being done. And yeah, G2, they'll get punished for it. They didn't do the drone work. They didn't have the information in the site. They were mostly just relying on the Monty, but it's always that case. It's, you know, it could be a human error. You know, the drones, there's no risk. It's safe. You can just drone everything, very low risk. Whereas the Monty, if you miss something, it is fatal. You know, it's a crucial error. And I think Azza played it to perfection as well. You know, he didn't give the game away the first time. He didn't overreact. It could have been a bait. Alamar might have already known that he was there. He was maybe trying to bait him. You know, he wasn't, obviously, because he didn't know. But in Azza's mind, you don't know that. You might think, oh, I'm getting baited here. Like, he might already know I'm here from a drone or something. Maybe I've shuffled and he's heard me. There's a lot going on inside of that moment. And for Azza to keep his cool like that,
10 seconds to go.
Impressive stuff indeed. A second successful defensive round for ITB is going to force them into a 3-site rotation here. CCTV and Cash chosen as their third choice. They do have the old mirror. They're going to be placed on that external wall. Of course, with the bandit ban, we have seen a lot of bandit tricking tonight. Bandit, not a ban that we see all the time, Demo, but a decent ban nonetheless. It does force you into more creative ways of getting rid of denying or at least slowing down that breach. And of course, one of those ways is going to be to place a mirror window on the breach and try and do a little bit of impact tricking. Of course, it's a classic that we see a lot of the time. I honestly feel that this game just comes down to who wants it more. Honestly, that's what I think it comes down to. Who has more passion? That was close as well from G2, almost losing the player from Kenny just firing away. But yeah, I think it comes down to the passion. Who really wants to win this game? If I look at G2 do not play on the last play day. G2 have that night off. So they play 8 in a row, and then that's them. So G2 will be sitting on the live play day watching everyone else play, and that'll determine where they actually finish in the leaderboard. Right now for G2, with the 3 games they have remaining, they need to go in there and win all of them. You cannot be leaving up, you know, the chances of you making it into playoffs, making it into whatever qualifier it is, into someone else's hands. You should never be feeling like that, because that's an awful feeling. Yeah, you're a passenger at that point, and it's not where you want to be at all. Benja, he's not done the cleanest job, but he's got the bottom of garage open there. Creeds, he's going to come to blows a little bit, but Alamar will get the better of him. Kenny, under increasing pressure here as the bees now come out. The fire is going to tuck him away into the corner, and it really only leaves one position for him to peek from, and Uno is already trained on that location. Azza, his location known as well, and he's going to take half damage to the fire. The player crouch walking up isn't going to be successful. Does manage to take Benji down. That is huge here for ITB, especially given that they are a man down right now. They need everything they can get out of Azza, and he might have a bit more to show, but no! Virtue, he was just spraying down onto the Kiba barrier and immediately transferred onto the head of Azza. Great shot from Uno, sitting Oscar down on the long angle. Noah able to pick one up on rappel. He knows that somebody's inside a garage, does have a C4, but time isn't going to be kind to him here. There's 40 seconds for G2 to work and pressure him with right now, and there's a mirror window working on his reverse. Grabs one as a down, but that's all it'll ever be. Alamar walking up those catch stairs is able to finish him off. Oh, Azza, I don't think he needed to swing Ollie, because G2 were out of util.
they had nothing left for him. They just had to try and face check him with the guns. But if he just gives himself up so easily, you know, that's the big issue there. He could have sat up there for probably another 30 seconds. You know, honestly, he could have. He'll probably go back and watch that and just be kicked themselves and just thinking, why did I peek? Because he didn't need to. He just did not need to peek.
Maybe Virtue just wanted it more.
Using my logic against me.
Well, I just chuckle because you saying this game's all about who wants it more. That's just classic, like when you have like a game of ranked and it goes like OT.
Yeah.
And you end up losing, and it's they wanted it more. It's just like a really easy outright. I think both of these teams want this a lot. This is the kill that you were referring to with Azza.
Coming from a G2 fan, I've seen times where G2 turn up the games and they don't care. That's why I say it. Honestly, that's why I say it. It's mostly down to G2 if they want it. G2 want it, they can go and beat any team in the world. We know that. But they only sometimes they'll turn up when they want to. That's the issue with this side. They can turn it on and turn it off at will. And whenever they turn it off, it gets me so frustrated. Whenever they're turned on, no problems whatsoever.
Well, I think the switch is 50-50 at the minute. It's not looking terrible for them. They've picked them around. They did struggle in the opening too, but give them a little bit of a fair shot to get into things, and we'll see how it goes on from here. They're attacking into sites they've already seen the defensive setups for. The problem inside of round number 1 was a little bit of misdroning. That happened on the top floor. We had Azza playing up there. Could be a problem here in round 2, although I imagine the droning will be a little bit more thorough now. You can see Azza set himself up. Tidy little party here. He's got a good couple of FNATs knocking about. Creeds just able to navigate around this drone for now. Benja, he's trying to push it off the back of it. This hasn't been droned yet. What's going on? We can see the drone. We know what's going on. Oh, Azza, you just had Alamar's life on the hatch there. He's got no business getting that kill. Virtue, he's going to trade one back onto Noah. Creeds has got a decision to make. Does he hold on and try and support? Yes, he does. He picks one up onto Doki. This roam is devastating. It's 2 versus 5 right now, Demo. All that ITB need is Creeds and Azza out on the roam. And look what they've managed to do. They've got themselves back onto site. They've met up with the teammates. They've gone, oh, guys, you won't believe what happened up there. We picked up 3.
Decimated. Just G2, go next round. That's all you can say. Go next round. A shocking clearance of roamers. Moving in one by one. No drone work. Just seemed very ego challenge heavy. You know, whenever I'm seeing Doki 0-4 right now, on the ace, going up there and trying to take on the roamers. It's just right now everything's wrong for G2. It really is. If they're not getting kills, if Ben's not getting kills, if Doki's not getting kills, it's a massive issue. They can't just keep relying on these two. You know, Virtue and Uno, you start to feel sorry for them. You know, it's not their job to be picking up all these kills. That's not what they were brought in for. Uno was brought in to hold F. That was it.
You got to give him a bit more credit than that, but
obviously,
I understand the sentiment.
Yeah, of course. I think everyone knows the characteristics Uno brings in, the leadership, you know, the experience this guy has.
Guess what? They've both got the, both Virtue and Uno have got the ability to clutch out like this, but that shouldn't be, relied on almost, which is what it seems to be at the moment. Uno going to kick things off with a nice kill over onto Oscar, deals with the player inside of Dirt. A flash, unfortunately, clips the door frame as Creeds finishes off Virtue. Uno now, only a matter of time. Going to be Kenny to pick him up as well. ITB, their plan is certainly going quite well for them at the minute. Some stunned and sort of somber looking faces on the side of G2 as well right now.
It's not looking good for them at the moment, because that round just kind of sends you over. Almost you're getting towards that tilt factor where you just know it's bad. All the G2 players will know that that roam was shocking. You know, it was a bad clear out. They're all aware of that. But it's just a case of what are they going to do to change that?
It doesn't need to be dwelled on too much right now, but there are some key fundamental errors there. I just don't understand how Benji was so far ahead of the drone. Because he was like inside a master and we still had Creeds inside a cache. So Benja had like sandwiched himself between Azza and Creeds. I mean, Azza wins the gunfight anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, strange stuff.
5 seconds
into the
left.
breach. Can they make it 4-1? I mean, there's potential for a 5-1 here, Demo. You know, really, with the way that we've seen the game go so far, you know, ITB, there's nothing stopping them running away with this.
Here's the thing about ITB. If they are able to take this one against G2, they actually have a really nice run of fixtures. They do. They have a really nice run of fixtures, and if they're hitting their momentum at this point, it's huge for that team. Look, the BDS beating is obviously going to hit them hard. Then we mentioned they had that kind of break day where they could recover in the, you know, in the hospital wing. And then they can get back into the swing of things. The fact that they won it yesterday, it will just boost that momentum even more so. Just they lose the way they did against BDS, and the next game up against VP, win that game. Yeah, it's a massive turnaround. And if they go and beat G2, look at the run of fixtures. You know, they play Wild, then they have Secret, then they have Ents. You know, those, you know, 2 of those are teams that are in the second or in the bottom half of the table.
Yeah. It's definitely doable for ITB from this point onward. We've said from the start of the night that the league is wide open. It really just depends on who wants to stand up and be counted. These fixtures...
Who wants it more?
Who wants it more? These fixtures matter a lot. G2. They don't want too much to do at the moment. They are going to start to open up the floor underneath Oscar and put the pressure on him right now. C4 comes out. He's going to catch 2! Oh, you know, Virtue. They've both been taken out. Oscar swings around and catches Doki. Again, all it takes is 2 into the breach defenders, and they have dealt with 3 G2 attackers yet again here. The idea was good, but the information was bad. Not a bad idea to put the book in below and try and displace the player inside of Cash, but you can't just both get caught playing conga lines through the breach and waiting for a C4 to fall in your lap. Oh, I thought no one was going to find another then. Alamau eventually puts a stop to him, but the damage has been done.
Again, it's Doki and the hard breach dying very early on is what's getting at me, because now you're not going to give these guys a chance. You look at BDS. Sometimes BDS today, you know, they were in 2v4s, but you still had, you know, Brede on the hard breach are still an option for them that they could, you know, do something with the hard breach. You lose the hard breach in a scenario, you're not giving the guys who are stuck in the man disadvantage a chance. How are Alamau and Ben supposed to win this without any hard breach? They're walking through doorways that are going to be set up by 3-man crossfires from ITB. How do you get through that? Very simple question, Ollie. But I think the answer is also very simple. They don't. Look at this. Slaughtered.
I mean, we didn't even know. I don't think Alamau even knew that that was a warden. Or he did, and he was just trying to chance it. I don't know. He's throwing a stun toward a warden. I'm pretty shell-shocked at the moment. That was not one to remember from a G2 perspective at all, but one that ITB can be very happy with indeed. Another good extension out inside of gym and bedroom. We barely saw any sort of pressure into the bomb site this time. Previously, we saw G2 bring the Monty. Alamau was really good at bullying his way through into Cash, and he took that control for very little cost this time. There was no shot. Cracking double C4 there. I mean, Noah doesn't know he's going to get 2. He's just going for the 1, but he's happy with that at that point, and then closed out there by Creed, still with the deployable shield to play behind. You just look at the positions available there for ITB to fall back into. Great stuff so far. They're going to lead 4 rounds to 1.
Strong showing from ITB. The rounds have been very clear-cut.
10 seconds to insertion.
So, just what are they going to do? I mean, thankfully for G2, you will be attacking in towards the bar. You're not dealing with any of the top floors. You're not dealing with the basement. It will be in towards the bar, which is looked upon as probably one of the worst out of the 4. I personally disagree. I really like bar as a site. I think if you can have a good roaming presence, you can open up a lot of the vertical angles above. You can use, you know, Echo, Maestro to your advantage, a lot of information, which, as you can see, there is a lot of that from ITV. You have the Valkyrie, you have the Maestro. They've also went with a bit of a twist. They're going for the strip hold. I haven't seen this since probably TSM Geo days. It's been a while, and probably for good reason, as Doki's just strolled in. This is an angry Doki, and he's picked up 2.
Round 6. Welcome to the game, Doki. You got your first couple of kills here, and now things looking a lot better at this point, and you've got to come back and question the bomb site almost already. It's one of the reasons why it's a fourth choice or a never choice site is that, you know, there's much better sites available typically, and players can just walk in from things like Strip and start to see some success quite quickly. You talk about Doki being angry. I think everyone on the side of G2 has got a bit of a point to prove here. Doki, who's on a triple, Creeds eventually shuts Alamao down, saves the flawless round, but the final kill comes in regardless. Quick fire stuff from G2. Where has that G2 been for the previous rounds, Demo?
Been scared, been timid. I mean, almost showing too much respect to ITB. That time they didn't respect ITB at all. They walked in, they got their kills. Maybe that's what they need to do, is just get into the face of ITB and don't let them get momentum. You know, ITB, you know, we've seen already this season that if this team starts to feel like really pressured, again, we're going to keep bringing up that BDS game, but I mean, even if you look at, I would say probably Fnatic as well. If you start taking the fight to this team and you stop that momentum and you make them a little bit scared to go into gunfights, ITB will, you'll breeze past them, you know? But if you allow them to do what they want to do, and they have the gunners there, you know, you look at Creeds, you look at Azur, you give them that space, you give them that respect where you're not going to go gung-ho at them and you're going to give them a chance to actually get in position for a gunfight, they'll rip your head off every time. I want to see an angry G2. That's what I want to see.
10 seconds.
Well, there's a chance you will. They've moved on to the defense now, and there's a bit more potential for individual plays to be, you know, a little bit more aggressive. Think about a bit of a sneaky roam game going on. We do have a couple of players hanging out upstairs. We've got Benja, Doki right now. Alamao likely going to dip back after he's placed an Electroclaw. Virtue setting up a couple of FNATs as well. It's going to give him a nice little early warning. Certainly trying to hold the whole map here and give ITB something to worry about. If we think back to the way that ITB held this top floor demo, it was, you know, quite similar really. They used a little bit of his army. They used, you know, they had the Fen as well, and they were looking to try and get into those locations. But the drone game from G2 is really what let them down. So I guess ITV need to be better on that drone game and information game. Benja's just been taken out from the window. Oh dear, oh dear. I think he might have been, oh no, he wasn't even in there, got tracked from the Deimos. It was Doki.
Look, right, at this, again, you'll have to ask Benja. It looked as though he threw the Azami barrier, which on the bed is supposed to cover up, you know, that window. You can play behind that. It looks as though he maybe misplaced the Azami barrier, so the Azami is slanted. See the way it's kind of like at an angle? And maybe that's kind of threw him up. Maybe he didn't realize it was thrown at an angle, therefore he got killed from it.
I think you're trying to give him too many excuses. He was stood in front of the window.
Maybe, yeah. Like I said, you have to ask Benja.
Call in.
Maybe not now. Maybe. I mean, I think if Benja loses, we won't be seeing him. I don't think so, Ollie. I don't think he likes calling in on a loss.
No, I mean, I don't blame him. I don't think anyone would do, really, would they? The RAM is starting to open up a little bit of this kitchen corridor. You can see a couple of pings coming through. Noah just cautious. Maybe trying to bait out a C4, maybe trying to gather a little bit of info. Starts to hear the kitchen hatch get opened as well. Doki could be on for a little bit of that aggression that we were talking about, Demo, especially being a man down. It'd be nice to grab one back at about this point, just before everything goes to chaos, as hatch drops and executes start to happen.
Right now for ITV, it's the calm before the storm. They have that extra man, which is crucial. You can send an extra player down blue. Kenny just drops in towards Moto and finds an Olaki. Good information. A C4, though, will deny the dirt, but that means Alamao doesn't have one to transport kitchen hatch, but it's not needed. Doki is on the kitchen hatch. How has he ended up there? It's a 2 versus 2. Kenny will try and stick the diffuser. Doki will see that. In towards Moto he goes. Azur limits Alamao, and it's all down to Doki. The barricade will stop him for the meantime, but Kenny, great intuition, gets off the plant, rotates to the safety in towards Armory, knowing that he has his teammate to cover him. Azur has to try and make the cover, but he's not. Doki's missed the guy, though. He's missed him, but still gets it. Doki, what?
Oh my goodness.
Anyone?
Oh my goodness. Doki made that about as hard as he possibly could for himself. Oh, you got to feel for him, but good composure in the heat of the moment to get the job done. I thought he'd fluffed it for a second, though, I'll be honest with you. We saw him hanging around those main stairs, and we knew that he was going for the rotate at some point. And who better to do it than the Solace? We think of Solace as a really annoying operator for drones and for, you know, on a camera outside all the Solace is going to... Solace is fantastic at the late part of the round when that plant's going down, because you get so much information. You knew exactly where the plant was going down in church. You knew exactly where the plant was going down inside of Arsenal, and it just gave him that little bit of an edge. I think it was a fantastic attempt from ITB. We saw him misses the first there, has to go back for it, but with the plant already then being down, maybe there's a question on Azza. Did he overreact?
Azza. Yeah, no, 100% it's a question on Azza. He has to hold that. Look, there's a few things. One, Kenny probably could have planted in a safer position. Definitely. But Azza needs to kill that guy. No matter what, Doki has to come through that door. He has to come through that door.
But he doesn't though, because Doki baited. He threw the impact into the bottom of blue, and he could have rotated blue.
But then does Kenny die?
I mean, then it comes down to where the drones are, doesn't it?
So I'm not too. I still think it comes down to Azza. Azza just needs to win that. He needs to cover that. That's on him.
I mean, let's not be too harsh on him. He's 9-4 right now. He's doing. He's part of the reason why ITB are 4-3 up.
No. You can sit there and say, "Oh, we went 9-4." If you lose, you lose. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what you drop. If you lose, that's all people are going to see.
I think if you lose, you lose. But I also think that Doki played it really well.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, Doki made that. To be fair, he made that miserable for himself the way he moved
he did. His decision making was good. He just missed his shot. That was all.
Still think Azza should win that. I still think he needs to win that. We'll agree to disagree. And you know what? We'll wait till Fresh and Fabian and they can be the deciding vote.
Maybe they can ask on the interview.
Yeah, and the thing is, they don't get 2 votes, but they share 1 brain cell between them. So they get 1 vote.
True. It's Freshbian.
Yeah.
Round number 8. Kenny going to be opening up the jacuzzi wall, looking to gain a bit of a foothold in this gym and bedroom attack. Got Azza chilling on the roof right now. He does have the bees in hand. I think he's waiting for the wall to get open into construction and then see if he can get any bee information through that lodgy hatch. Kenny, he's already in, and he has the diffuser. This is scary stuff right now. Look at him go. Oh, he gets taken down. Virtue, he's able to find one. ITB do respond, though, very quickly. We've only seen half the round, and it's already a 2 versus 1. Don't forget, that diffuser is very cold on the ground. ITB need to reassess now. Not really too close to one another either. I think they know Virtue's location. We saw the dregs of a red ping there. Maybe the bees were still on him. Virtue does have a C4 in pocket as well. He can hear the player coming round inside a lodge. He knows the shots are on the way, but a beautiful pinch there from ITB. They're showing us that they can play siege every which way right now. They can set themselves up for a nice execute using all the round on Church and Arsenal, and on the flip side, they can rush and go very quickly when they have to, attacking into gym and bedroom.
Oh boy. Timeout. No surprises. I think Fabian has a few words for us. I think he's going to be coming in very shortly, Ollie, to kind of give us a mid-map report and what he thinks of his former team, I'm sure.
Hands. That discussion you guys had about the post plant in the first attack round for Into the Breach, both sides actually played it wrong in terms of the attackers. They should have planted further into the site behind the bomb chassis because they heard that he dropped into Moto, and we should have also moved the cover over to third box, because even if he baited with that impact, that third box position can much faster react to both sides, whilst going behind the AK rack only allows you to hold one of the 2 angles, or you'll expose yourself to the other. Third box allows to never have that issue.
Well, thank you very much, Fabian. I appreciate you coming in and telling us that we were both wrong.
We're both wrong. That's what I got from that as well. Yeah, we're wrong.
That's no, that's great. That's great to know. I appreciate that. Jokes aside, Fabian and Fresh, obviously, and of course, watching the games, getting ready for the desk and the breakdown that they will provide. It's always nice to get a little bit of their insight during the game, especially when there is something like a tactical timeout, which is what we were just in. 5-3 currently for Into the Breach. Not showing any signs of slowing down, especially with the way they ramped up the speed in round number 8. I don't expect to see that sort of level of speed and aggression every time, but it's nice to know that they've got it in them when they need it.
both teams have shown they can just hit the site without a moment's notice. You know, very quick, straight into it. I'm kind of looking at obviously G2 at the moment, and one thing that stands out is leaving way too much open for ITB. I think ITB are just having a field day with the amount of gaps GT are actually leaving. I think they're spread so thin today.
Yeah. There is always a worry of that, isn't there? I mean, look at Doki's position right now. It's early on into the round, fair enough, but he's really quite out there on a solo role. We do have a couple of players buddied up inside a garage and 2 players buddied up inside of the site. So, you know, it's not the end of the world to leave someone left out. You're playing a game that's... Oh, there we go. Virtue, hello. Through the mirror window. He's going to find Oscar. Oscar on the Lion. Not sure what business Oscar's got really pressing his face up against that. He's going to get punished for it.
Oscar does Oscar things. And that means they gave up the first kill. But I think for ITB, it's the issue is you'd probably like to have his burn, you know, to flash out through these YMI discs, and then obviously try and get the Capitao in. So they're going to have to probably rotate the Thermite round now to try and burn through some of them. As we can see that the Buck doesn't have flashbangs, instead has the hard breach gadgets. The Thatch grenade does go in just to test if there is any discs, and there goes 3 of them stacked up right beside Virtue, and looks to be one of the arrows got caught, and oh, but just barely out of the range, so Virtue's still alive. Alamau eliminates Azza, down goes to Capitao. Noah will be there to kill Doki, who took a jump outside of blue. But honestly, G2, you know, they've done their utility, done well. They've played the Wamai disc all together in position that probably ITB weren't expecting. And it just means that you keep that player right beside the window alive.
I commented on it in a previous game where we lost a Lion, and you've got keeper barriers as well. That DMR shreds those keeper barriers. And you really need it if you're going to try and take control of Garage, especially considering you bring the burn as well for the Wamai disc. So that really not being an option now, it's forcing ITB into a slightly different approach. And we can see the Creeds trying to get himself set up here. Alamau, he's already picked up a 2K on the round. Creeds with a wall bang there, and Benja in a second onto Alamau. Eventually finished off, and Kenny left all alone. Hopped up onto the box, potentially worried about a C4 from below. Uno, of course, still has a C4 and is directly below the plant as it goes down. He is going to pick it up, though. Looks like he was on the very outer edge of that radius, but Kenny had already been softened up a little bit earlier. Good hold from G2, particularly Virtue. I think he was in the hot seat for a lot of that round. He got a bit lucky with the asphyxiating bolt, with the fire arrow coming in. We saw it in a previous game. I keep coming back to the Empire game, the Virtus Pro game that we just watched, purely because I do it all the time. Purely because it was Clubhouse, and we saw such a similar circumstance where that fireball gets sent in, and there's just a corner that you can stand in. And Virtue, lucky for him, was able to survive in that corner as well and pick a few kills up from it. So great stuff there from G2, a round they desperately needed.
He placed them in the perfect position where he knows if the fire arrow gets caught by that disc, he'll be out of the radius. So obviously he's went through that, he's tested that, he knows exactly where to place them, so he's always going to be safe. But G2, yeah, good round to get them back on the saddle. ITB, just losing that first pick doesn't help them. The utility dump, you know, like I said, it was that kind of knock-on effect. You lose Oscar the flashbangs, you don't have that burn from on my disc. Therefore, the bolts aren't going to work on the rafters. You don't have rafters, you lose the round. You know, that is the chain of events that kind of unfold, you know, with losing some of that utility.
Yeah. And sometimes it can be as simple as that, right? It can literally be you've lost something key, and you haven't really got a response. That is Siege in a nutshell. The margins are so small.
That's what you mentioned. Opening kills, opening deaths it's an important stat line, because it really dictates how the round plays. You know, if the defense lose it, then that just means that the attackers are going to have more bodies, hold more crossfires. Defenders can't breathe then. But then if the attackers lose men early on, they're going to lose utility. Therefore, the defenders don't get pressure. Therefore, they don't win the round. That's the two sides of the coin. Would
you like a little opening kill statistic?
Yeah, I'd love it.
Out of the 9 rounds that we've seen played, obviously we're in round number 10. 6 opening kills for Into the Breach, and only 3 opening kills for G2. So ITB doing a great job in that opening, and I don't really think that comes as much surprise with the way that they've been, you know, efficient in a lot of these rounds.
Creeds. Oh my. Smash and grab.
Yeah, he's in and he's out. Straight in, straight out. Bish, bash, bosh. Bench is down. C4 gone with him. Happy days.
Well, this guy at the moment is on great form, and he just keeps adding to his tally. I mean, back-to-back double digits in the space of 2 days, Ollie. That's where we're at with this kid, and he is making it work right now. Alamau, great swing on to Kenny. I'm surprised that Kenny has actually went for that play. Probably should have waited for a teammate to move up with him in towards Garage, and then you both hit that player still remaining inside a cache. And you see that ITB have had to scramble to pick up that diffuser. Alamau has since then fallen back. That's a sigh of relief that he's still alive. And now we head into the final minute. And this is where G2 have to make their final stand. They still have mirror windows, of course, to play behind. I'm sure a Fenrir gadget will be placed somewhere on some of these key avenues. Might be on towards the site door, in towards Logi, perhaps. But there is one big trump card that ITB have, and that is, of course, the Grim. It's going to be great to deal with this player in the mirror window.
Bomb diffuser. Attackers have recovered their.
They do have the Zephyr as well to try and deal with those mirror windows if they get into such a position to be able to do so. I'm not entirely sure how Oscar got downed. From the sound of it, it sounded like he fell off. So maybe one to go back and check over. It was about the same time that Kenny fell coming through the breach. So something to certainly keep an eye on for the time being. Azza is going to be trying to give himself an option for some of these Bs as he sends one into Gold and one into Jim there. He knows there's a player tucked in behind Jim. He's going to find him, but 2 kills come in for Virtue. Azza, he's forced to try and make something happen, but look at Virtue go. He's rolling back the years. He's picked up 3 inside of this round. Make it a 4th. He barely moved his feet. He was this side and that side inside of showers. And he's held on there for G2.
The B's just pinging the Azami, and Azami's just going back and forth, jumping through hoops. And I mean, look at Virtue. He didn't have to move his feet. He just sat taking a shower. That was it.
Just having a nice time.
I don't know how ITB have lost that round. Both of them stuck in bathroom. I'm shocked at that one.
There's definitely a bit of a disconnect. I think it was Creeds that went through the breach, wasn't it? Jacuzzi breach.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what happened there. Obviously, we saw the opening. Creeds picked up 2. I feel like he was kind of lucky to get the kill onto Uno, because Uno just went wandering at that point. You can see it was this moment that Oscar was down. Virtue there. I mean, it's not a bad spot to be in, you know, inside of the showers. You're nice and tucked, and you can get nice little angles like that, especially when you're rocking an ACOG. So done a brilliant job to get away with the round and to draw G2 level. And maybe that's the big play that G2 needed to get behind now. Maybe that's what can take them further inside of this fixture.
100%. That is where kind of the tides turn now in my eyes. Because G2 have made a really good comeback, and you've kind of punched the air out of ITV, haven't you? You've really hit them for 2 there. Now G2, 5-3 down, brought it back to 5-5. Yeah, I think this is where G2 could probably just storm away, and then the fact that you get to go to the basement now. So yeah, it's looking good for G2. ITB, they went for a different approach again. They're bringing in a bit of a backstab, I suppose, with Noah. See what he can do with the Nuke, and this is mostly going to be comboed with the Demos just to try and crouch walk down the stairs and find a freebie, with information, of course, being fed to him. Alamau has to be careful as a live drone's going to be at the feet. C4 ripped. Not happening for him. But the only issue for Noah is, I'm sure whenever he gets to the bottom of the staircase, it's going to be a big old mirror window slap bang in the middle of it.
See you on the other side.
Yeah, there's multiple different ways to play this church mirror, and none of them are wrong, really. Because as an attacker, you've still got to come up with a different way every time of dealing with that. This way obviously lends itself to a bit of an impact trick going out, and if you're going to play an Azami nearby, you've got the benefit of the Kiba barriers as well. Currently just trying to get rid of that electric law. Oscar trying to get that job done on the Hibana. Benjamaster not looking too concerned. He does have another in pocket as well, which he's going to be happy to replace the one that has been shot out. Not sure if that one is going to get there in time. It's perfectly timed. Benja, I apologize for ever doubting you. Going to go for a random C4 toss, though, which we know won't be successful as we have the benefit of the outlines coming in here. Oscar, he's slowly but surely chipping away, and he's finally got 4 pellets left to try and open that hatch.
Yeah, it just slowly burns away the fluorine, and that explosion radius will take out the electroflow on the hatch. That's a good pick from Noah, and a good pick from Kenny, and he's straight in, going for the defuse. This is where G2 has to be switched on. Virtue, though, is going to be beat up, and this is where G2 are going to clog up the pipes. They're all together. You're not going to win that whenever you're being constantly spotted. Virtue. Alamal, he's the one with the C4. All along, he had the C4 in the back pocket, but he was not in a position to use that. Stuck inside a third box. And then ITB, that explosive reactiveness of picking up 1 kill, 2 kills straight in for the plant. It's worked out so well for them. Benji gets 1 exit kill for himself, pulls out the revolver, but also gets nailed. ITB swing it back, 6-5. They're in the lead again.
Another great round from Into the Breach. I think they did a fantastic job once again distracting attention. Look at what Oscar, look at the mini game that Oscar was playing with Benja, getting that kitchen hatch open. The kitchen hatch is important, granted. However, it wasn't necessary for getting that plant down, but what it did do was it distracted Benja away, removes the C4 from the equation, and you've got that sort of that lock up there of a defender that has to be doing something for that amount of time. You couple that with a real explosive kill on the entry from Noah. He was able to slam Doki. Doki got caught peeking outside of that mirror window. If you play in a mirror window like that, you're playing it for one reason. You're playing aggressive off the back of it. ITB recognized that and said, well, there's only one way to deal with that, and we've got to be aggressive onto you. As soon as they saw that opportunity, there was zero hesitation. Their trigger there was to pick up 1, maybe 2 kills and get themselves in, and that's exactly what we saw. Noah grabs 1, Ken drew a second, and already the plant's going down. Real quick fire stuff coming out of ITB. They have used a tactical timeout of their own here, which I think just goes to show the weight that they are putting on this next round, because it's crucial that they come away with a full 3 points here if they want to continue on in this stage.
Big round. It's a big round. ITB have, of course, secured themselves a point. That will give them at least something that they've walked away with. But knowing ITB, whenever you're so close to getting all 3, you're going to want all 3. We know that. I actually think now with that single point, they've actually overtook Fnatic now in the standings. Of course, Fnatic have the last game of the day. But it is just something just to keep an eye on, of course, as the table's always moving.
10 seconds to go.
Up for G2. If they lose this game, then ITB will leapfrog G2. Knock G2 down in the 6th, and then there's a chance that Fnatic can then overtake G2 and then knock G2 down in the 7th. So G2 could go down the 7th at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's actually pretty crazy. Obviously, Wolves don't play today. This was a one day play day for them. Week for them. So ITB would overtake Wolves as well, but obviously they will be left with a game still to play. So it means a little bit less if a team's still got a game, but regardless, it's going to feel pretty good indeed. For me, it's all about ITB getting this done now inside of this one round. They really want to avoid an overtime if at all possible. They want to be coming away with the maximum amount of points here out of this one, and hence the timeout. You know, it shows that they're going to be taking this one as seriously as the rest, and they just wanted a moment to figure what they wanted to do. Nice bit of checking there from Azza, just making sure that there was no Cade going to ruin the party. As I mean, there's not really too much they would have been able to do about it. I don't think Kenny is on hand with those impacts, but it's nice to know nonetheless. And Noah, he can start his task of ripping open that kitchen corridor.
Just go through the motions now for ITB. They have the correct util for it. You also see, of course, they have the Ossa, so we can see a potential Ossa plant similar to what Secret have showcased so far this stage, and what you can do with that operator in terms of successfully getting down the plants. We've seen it being used in multiple locations, being used, you know, on the triple breach, moving in towards Armory as well. You can plant deep. So yeah, plenty of options for them that ITB can choose to go for. They will start to grim out blue, of course, and a few nades as well from Azzer to see if he can maybe catch a kill, but it is very unlikely. Of course, with the nade changes that happened quite a while ago now, if you actually think about it. But a minute 15 on the clock. They can start to get Kenny in position. It's just going to be a hatch drop, Ollie, and hopefully they can stick the plant.
Well, let's see if they've got it in him immediately. Kenny is going to drop into a Fen and be full whited in the process, but the Bees are doing a great job of cutting him off. He hasn't got time to get the plan down. And first port of call is getting a kill onto Doki. The cover from above is going to be there, but Virtue and Alamau are successful. Noah finishes off the downed Alamau. And everything takes a moment to breathe. 3 versus 3 now. Azza was cut off from having a meaningful impact there, mainly due to the Azami Kiba barricades. Oscar is going to find one over onto Benji, though. Nowhere a second, he drops the hatch and picks up 2! Unbelievable stuff from Noah there. Last I saw, he was just watching from the top of the hatch, but he took the bull by the horns, grabs one from Church, one from Box, into the breach. They're going to come away with a full 3 points.
Oh, big win for ITB, and this is where their season essentially can just kick off from here. We mentioned their list of fixtures. They're looking pretty good for ITB. I love the way that they full sent in, about a minute 15, and even if things went wrong, they still had enough time to recover, and that's exactly what they did. Kenny gets picked off, the initial plant doesn't work, but they still leave themselves enough time to kind of reassemble and then go again. Again, the structure of that attack will still work the same, even if it didn't work the first time. You still have hatches open, you're still creating chaos, you've opened up all these angles, and you drop and you take your engagements, you have the crossfire set up, and you win the round. So yeah, I love the way that they sent it early to give themselves enough time, even if it did go wrong.
That's one of the things we say about the best teams is that they do their attacks in sort of stages, and they do the defenses in stages as well. It doesn't all lead up to one big execute. It leads up to one execute that's then teeing up a second one. And that's exactly what we saw from ITB in that round. I can't wait to see the look on our analysts' faces and to hear from them. We're going to send you over to the desk.
An amazing result for Into the Breach against G2 are they getting here, and something we talked about in the pre-show is that we want to see ITB react accurately. They were definitely doing that this time.
Yeah. Sorry, Fabian wouldn't pull Ollie talked about the look on our faces, and I wanted to pull a funny face, but Fabian wouldn't do it.
I didn't.
Because you've already got a funny face, Fabian. What was the question? I'm sorry. I was completely focused on funny faces.
Don't worry about it.
It's all okay. I said that in the pre-show we talked about we needed them to react accurately.
Yes.
Not with funny faces, but that's exactly what ITB were doing.
Yeah, I think we was very, very much impressed. I think there was a couple of times during their defenses, well, not more than a couple of times, where there was the appropriate reaction for the ITB players in terms of helping each other and committing to fights with each other, knowing when to get aggressive, knowing when to be passive, and knowing when to play a team game. Really, really impressive. Defenses from ITB, apart from that one bar defense that was horrible. Delete that strategy, but apart from that, it was great.
Yeah, bar as a bomb site is very hard to defend, but then again, they were 4-1 up at that point.
Yeah.
Does it really cost you anything to gamble because you'd already lost the bomb site you otherwise had to go to? And CCTV is just as hard, if not harder. The bar is such an uncommon bomb site to play, so usually teams aren't really prepared to attack it.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that really shined through this game was we spoke about it in the pre-show of the entire day, entry kills. Into the breach, they got every single entry kill in these 12 rounds except for 3 of them. So they had a 75% of the rounds they got the entry kill. And it really goes to show that when you get those entry kills, you can outplay a team that is much more, I would say, mechanically skilled than you are, because they simply are. But because you're playing it very sound as a team, and your strategy and your theory and your approach to the entire day and the game is better. Because I think Into the Breach played a much better team game than G2 did, and G2 relied very heavily on individual performance. I believe Into the Breach should have won this game in round 10. They should have been, I think it was round 10, they should have won it way earlier.
Yeah, and I think that was the thing. We'll come on to G2, but G2 have been kind of struggling with controlling games. Into the Breach once again have come out and bossed the game, dictated the tempo, dictated the strategy, really not let G2 have anything. And like you say, it was only individual moments of excellence. Doki got that clutch, and there was a couple of clutches and a couple of moments that G2 had from players, from individuals. The reason Into the Breach won was because they played as a team. Had they have lost, we would have said they would have been a bit unlucky to lose because, they would have lost to those moments, and that's all it was. Again, magnificent from them.
Yeah, they should be really, really proud of themselves because they've taken out 2 very big teams in 2 days in a row, and I'm happy for them because it goes to show. We've been praising them so much. The staff that they have, Kenny is one of the best coaches developing players, and clearly they have a great plan moving forward as a team. They know how to work, they know what to develop next. It's looking really good for EUL as a whole because of teams like this just stepping up, together with Team Secret stepping up. I'm really happy right now for EUL.
It's looking really good for Into the Breach as well, of course, with those new pickups. And one player in particular that's been really standing out to us is Creeds.
Yeah, Creeds had a magnificent game yesterday, and today, was it much worse? Not at all. He stepped up incredibly, especially when you're a rookie against these teams that are very, very experienced. Usually, you'll feel a bit of pressure. Maybe you'll talk about that in the interview because it didn't look like he felt any of that. It's so nice to see that Into the Breach can pick up these young players and shape them into, in my eyes, real superstars really, really quickly in a team that we've seen struggle for a very long time before they arrived.
Well, Creeds had a stellar performance in that game, and we also get to speak to him on the winner's interview. We have him on the line to ask him a few questions. Good evening. Now, Creeds, you pick up 6 points this week against 2 teams that made it to top 6 of SI. That must be an insane feeling.
Yeah, it feels unreal, to be honest. But yeah, it's good wins for us.
Is that all you're going to say, Charlie? Any more about why they were good wins against big teams?
You gotta keep it humble.
Right, okay. So obviously you're in your rookie season of EUL, but you're also playing on a new role. So personally for you, what's it like coming into, I suppose, the big leagues and then also playing the role as a primary entry? Because we've not really seen that from you before.
Yeah, it was difficult at the start to do, but I feel like I'm getting into my groove now, and honestly, just playing with confidence is the key.
Where do you feel the big difference lies from playing Tier 2 leagues to playing Tier 1 leagues, and how is that with the pressure as well?
Things are much faster in Tier 1, definitely, and like you got to be quicker on your feet and make the right reactions and stuff. But I mean, compared to Tier 2 leagues, it's like night and day.
So you used to be on a team called G2, right? And you played up against G2, and you won in, I can't remember which competition it was, South Breach, Rumble, one of them.
Yeah.
You won 2-0. You've beaten them again today. Do you have anything to say to G2? Or actually, I'm going to give you a cop-out as well. Is there anything that you want to say to your fans, supporters, whatever? But particularly G2, we want you to talk about them.
I mean, I've never lost to G2, so I mean, it's just keeping my flawless streak going, unlike some other teammates of mine.
Awesome, sounds really good. Now, you may have not heard it, but Fabian earlier called you a superstar, a 3-time world champion calling you a superstar. How does that feel?
That feels unreal. I'm only in my rookie season, so I mean, that feels unreal.
Just living the dream at the moment. I mean, it's really exciting for you. Of course, very glad to hear that, of course, in the interview as well. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy that victory, and we'll speak to you again very soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Honestly, I think that was a really wholesome interview. You just sounded so happy to be here.
Oh, honestly, he is so happy, and he's like a sponge. And I've known him for, 3 years now, from when he started out wanting to be a comp player. And he's like a sponge. He's played ranked with Fabian, been shouted at 1,000,000 times by Fabian, but taken it in and learned it. And he's doing the same in comp now. So there's no wonder that he's going so far and doing so well individually.
It's really happy to see that, of course, for him as well. Very exciting, but we have one more game left ahead of us for tonight. That is Fnatic versus Wild. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.